Coach Grandinetti. I appreciate it. Had the pleasure of meeting Coach Grandinetti in Dallas this January, and man, awesome thing that you do for coaches. You have great resources. You provide a great platform for coaches to learn and get better, and definitely honored to be here today. Appreciate the opportunity. So I want to dive right into it. I know Coach mentioned my name is Jason Mohns. I'm the head football coach at Saguaro High School. You guys that aren't from the desert, the saguaro is the big green cactus that you see like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, the big green cactus with the arms on it. That's a saguaro cactus. So Saguaro High School is in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're a 4A enrollment, about 1,300 kids, and definitely been a program we've been lucky to have a lot of success over the years. Want to make sure you guys get my information, and I can add it to the chat at the end. Email is my first initial J and then my last name Mohns, Mohns @susd.org. And make sure you follow me on Twitter @Coach Mohns. I'll follow you back, and it's a good way to connect. I've been talking to coaches from all over the country. So with that said, I'm going to get into this presentation. I'm going to talk about our outside zone scheme in the run game with some of the RPOs we attach to it and some of the different ways that we mess it up. Go through our blocking rules and then some of the different things we do with our backfield action. So we'll get right into it. Just a little bit about our program. Like I mentioned, 4A school, 6A is the largest classification in Arizona. We had won 6 consecutive state championships from 2013 to 2018. Took over as a head coach here in 2012. For any of you young guys out there, I started off as a head freshman coach in 2007. So I started actually, my first coaching was 7th and 8th grade flag football. And then I got a freshman head coaching job, and I did that for a couple of years, and I got the running backs job, then I got the offensive coordinator job, and then I got the head job. So 2012, I took over. I've had a hell of a run, 2013 to 2018. And then this last year, Arizona, for the first time ever, went to what they called the Open Division Playoffs. And so they took the top 8 teams based on PowerPoint rankings, similar to like Max Preps rankings. They pulled the top 8 teams from 4A, 5A, and 6A into one playoff bracket. So we ended up making it all the way to the state championship game. We played Chandler High School. It was the first time ever in Arizona that 2 national top 25 teams met for a state. And we fell a touchdown short. Got down 21 points early, fought back, had a chance, cut it to 7 with 10 minutes left, and just couldn't quite get that last stop we needed. But hell of a run, and now we're just out doing the same thing you guys are doing. We're trying to learn and get better every day so we can get back and try to win the last game again. So with that said, I'm going to dive right into this. I know Coach Grandinetti is going to kind of stay on, and if you guys have questions as I go, man, fire him his way, and he'll jump in, and I definitely want to answer questions as we go, so don't be shy. Let me talk about why we like the outside zone scheme. Number one, it's a great complement to the inside zone scheme, which is our number one most called concept. So we're a zone team. We run 4 primary run concepts: inside zone, outside zone, power, and counter. All right, our zone schemes are probably our 2 primary schemes. All right, inside zone, you're kind of creating that vertical displacement, looking for cutbacks. Outside zone, we're going to create the horizontal displacement. We're going to try to stretch the defense and look for the vertical cutbacks. Okay. It is a good way to get the ball in the perimeter, especially if you're a team that's running inside zone and split zone and power read, and you're forcing that defensive end to really squeeze, fit his hands, and play tight. Now all of a sudden when you go to reach him, it's a lot easier. So it is a good way to get the ball in the perimeter, but it's not the primary reason we want to run outside zone. Okay. We can force the defense to play sideline to sideline, especially if you're playing a team that's really good up front, has a war daddy nose tackle or somebody. You want to make that guy have to run laterally. It's a great play to make that guy have to run side to side. Really good against interior pressure. So you see the odd front teams, odd stack teams that are stunting and blitzing and moving. The outside zone's really good against that. It can account for a lot of that interior pressure. Really good for play action passes. Freeze the linebackers, force them to step up, throw your vertical game, your Y cross game behind them. Really like the play action look you get off of an outside zone. So if you have success running the outside zone, then of course it sets up play action. And it's a great RPO scheme. We have some really good RPOs that we throw off of outside zone, and it's one of our best boundary run plays. So it's effective into the field or the boundary. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about our base rules for the outside zone. Okay, so an outside zone, we tell our guys, if you're on the play side of the run, you can be either covered play side or uncovered. Okay, so you're either covered or uncovered, and then backside we have rules for scooping. So I'm just going to go through our base offensive line rules. Okay, the covered principle means that you are covered if you're on the play side. So again, we're talking if we're running outside zone to the right. All right. From the center over, center guard, tackle, tight end, whoever we have over there. Okay? We're referring to the play side. Being covered means you have a down lineman, heads up, to inside shade. So either outside shade of you, okay, to inside shade of the next man over, okay? So anybody in your play side gap, we're going to say that you're covered play side, okay, or you're covered, all right? So in this example of the drawing right here, the right guard is covered. He's got a 3 shade on him. We're going to say he's covered. He's on the play side of outside zone, okay? So let's talk about the rules if you're covered. If you're covered on the play side, your rule is to drop and drive, okay? So we're going to take a drop step with our first foot, with our play side foot, okay? We want to, we're going to tell our guy, we are allowed to lose ground to gain ground, okay? So we can get depth. If we need to get depth, we can lose some ground if we need to, all right? If you've got a guy that's more heads up shade on you, then it could be more of a flop step, okay? So if I'm the guard and I have a 2 technique, all right, I'm covered play side, I'm not going to take a big drop step because I just want to be able to set my track. So I might flop it, okay? And a lot of it comes down to the angle of our second step, which I'll get in, all right? If the guy's playing more of a 3 shade, all right, then this first step might need to get a little bit more depth so I can set my track for my second step, okay? Second step, we tell our guy is going to go to and through the crotch of the defensive lineman, okay? So that's, again, where it's really important when we talk about the guard right here. If he's got a 2 shade, all right, now we're going to take a flop step, and then our second step is going to attack to and through his crotch, all right? If the guy's a 3 shade, now I might take more of a drop step so I can set the track to get my second step to and through his crotch. So that first step all depends on the shade of the covered lineman, okay? The aiming point for my face is the play side armpit of the defensive lineman. So I'm going to try to fit my face up in his play side armpit, all right? What we tell our kids to do is we want to vertically press the play side pec with our inside hand. So we want to get to the play side number, all right? We want to get to the play side number. We're going to take our drop step. We're going to step to and through the crotch. We want to fit our face in a play side armpit, and I want to use my inside hand to vertically press play side pec, or that play side number, right, of the down lineman. Then what we tell our guys is, if I take that drop step and I step to and through the crotch and I go to fit my face up in his play side armpit, and I go to press his vertical, press his play side pec vertically, and he tries to fight over the top of me, that's great. That's really what we want, all right? In that case, we're going to flip our hips and we're going to run his ass to the sideline, all right? Keep your hat inside. We're going to flip it and run it, okay? If you are solo, okay, so if you're working by yourself, you're not working a combo with anybody, you can use 2 hands on the reach, okay? So we're going to take our drop step. We're going to go to and through the crotch. If I can get my face to his place side armpit, I'm going to hook him. I'm going to swing my ass around, and we're going to log him down inside, okay? So that would be the only time we would use 2 hands if we're solo. Okay, now let's talk about uncovered rules. So you can be covered or you can be uncovered, okay? So again, we're talking about the play side of the call. So we're running outside zone to the right. Running outside zone to the right. Uncovered means that you don't have a down lineman either heads up to inside shade of the next adjacent lineman play side, okay? So you don't have anybody heads up on you, okay? And you don't have anybody in this next gap to the call, okay? So in this case right here, our center would be considered uncovered. Our guard would be considered covered, which is what we just talked about. Okay? So let's talk about the uncovered rule. If you are uncovered on outside zone, your rule is to pull and overtake. Okay, so the first step is a pull step. We're going to come off the line. We're going to open up that front foot. Okay, we're going to open up the play side foot. The second step is a crossover. So we're going to take a drop step. We're going to open up. We're going to cross over, much like if you were pulling front side like on a G scheme or a buck sweep. Okay, we want to gain width and depth. Okay, so we're looking to gain width and depth. The aiming point is the play side number of the next down lineman towards the call. Okay, so we're trying to pull and take over the next down lineman towards the call. All right. The objective is to overtake that play side D lineman. So I want to be able to pull and bump off the next lineman who's getting vertical press on this pec. I want to bump him off, and I want to take over that block so he can climb to the next level, all right? The rule that we have is if you are uncovered and you're pulling to overtake, you have to be able to overtake that block by your third step, okay? So if you look right here, if we look at this, this is outside zone going to the right, all right? I want to specifically look at the center and guard. The guard is covered, okay? So his rule is to either take a flop step or a drop step. Now, if he gets a really tight shade, this might just be the flop step. And the flop step, I know it's tough to see here, right? But the flop step, I'm really just kind of setting my angle with my first step. Then my second step can attack vertically upfield. Okay, so in this really tight 3 shade right here, my guard's probably just going to take a flop step with his right foot so he can take his left foot and attack right to and through the crotch of that lineman. He's going to take his inside arm, vertically press his play side pec, and we're trying to press vertical on outside zone. Okay, inside zone, we're trying to get more of that 45-degree track. Outside zone, we want vertical press. Okay. The other thing that I didn't have in my PowerPoint here that's really important is when we run outside zone, we're going to cut our splits down. So our base split's about a 2-foot split. On inside zone, at times we might get out more like 2.5 and 3 feet. On outside zone, we're going to take our base 2-foot split and we're going to tighten that down to like 1 foot. Okay. And the reason we do that is to make it easier for the guy that's uncovered to pull and overtake. Okay. So now we're running outside zone to the right. The center doesn't have anybody heads up. Okay. Or inside shade. So now his rule is to pull and overtake the next down lineman play side. So he's going to try to pull and overtake that 3 shade. All right. What we want the right guard to do is vertically press that pec so the center can pull and come bump him off and overtake, and then they can work, all right, to that Mike backer. Okay. And then the backside rule of outside zone is to scoop. Okay. So anybody behind the center, away from the call, is going to scoop. The backside guard is responsible for scooping A gap to the backside linebacker. All right. Backside tackle is responsible for scooping the B gap to the backside linebacker. All right. And the thing that's really important here is the note that I made, which is gaps are dynamic, and dynamic means they move. Okay. So if I'm the backside guard right here, we're running outside zone to the right. All right. And let's say they've got a shade, weak, and then a 3 to the call. So the guard is covered. He's covered. So he's going to try to flop and drive or drop and drive. The center is going to try to pull and overtake that. Okay. Now, as the center moves, that A gap chases his ass. All right. That's what I mean by the gaps are dynamic. So this scoop block here, this dude's going to get some width and depth, and he's got to go really get in the hip pocket of that center and be able to scoop out that 1 shade. So if that 1 shade tries to get in the center's hip pocket, we got to really pull and go dig that guy out. We're trying to make him go behind. Okay. If we can't make him go behind, then we just got to fit him up and keep running his ass. We want to cover guys up on outside zone. Okay. Backside tackle is the same thing. He's responsible for the B gap. That B gap is going to chase the guard's ass. So as the guard goes and tries to go scoop out the A gap, that B gap is chasing his ass. So he's got to really be able to go get in there and dig it out. If we don't have a B gap threat, then we'll climb and we'll go cover the second level linebacker. Okay. So that's our rules for scoop. When we get to the second level, and I want to show you something right here. This is really important. When we get to the second level, all right, second level meaning the linebackers. When we get to the second level, all we want to do there is cover them up. So whoever comes off of that combo block, when we come off to a linebacker, our rule is to cover them up. We're not trying to pin the outside shoulder. We're not trying to get inside leverage of them. We're just trying to get, we tell our guys, tits for tits. We want to square their ass up. All right. So if I go and I work a good base and I go try to square that guy up and cover him up, if he wants to fight over the top, that's fine. I'm going to run his ass outside. All right. If I go to work to cover him up and he tries to jump inside, that's fine. I'm going to keep him covered and mash him down inside. We want to allow our running backs to cut off of that. We never want to play on a shade at the second level. We don't want to get outside because this ball, as I'm going to explain on the running back rules, this ball can bounce, bang, or bend. So when you climb to the second level, you don't know where the hell the ball is going. You don't know if it's going out. You don't know if it's going right down the pipe, or you don't know if it's cutting back behind you. So we just have to cover up. Okay? Now, one last thing I wanted to reiterate, all right? The center right here, he takes play side, open step, all right? Inside foot crossover, that's 1-2. By the time that second foot hits the ground, he's got to make a decision, all right? If he can overtake this block by his third step, then he'll stay on it. If he knows, if this guy's fighting like crazy over the top and he knows he can't overtake the block by his third step, he's going to climb right now. Okay? So we want to really make the decision by the second step. By the time my second step hits the ground, I have a pretty good idea if I'm going to continue with my third step or if my third step's going to take me to the next level.
Coach, got a question here for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you ever lock the backside tackle on the backside C-gap D lineman against even fronts to then throw off the will?
Absolutely. You got coach is getting ahead of me. So I'm talking about our base rules, and we'll talk about some of the other things that we do off of that. But yes, absolutely. That's one of our RPOs is lock and backside, and then RPO on the backside linebacker.
And then one other one just came in, Coach. Does the uncovered guy communicate that they are taking over the block, or is it just feel?
It's a feel. So, and they'll know because the guy that's covered, he'll have an idea. If I'm covered and I get that guy's play side peck and I'm getting vertical push, I know that shit's gonna get taken over. But I'm gonna stay on it because if I don't get bumped off, I'll feel that center come bump me off. Okay. But then I know if I go to press his play side peck, he fights over the top, and I'm gonna kind of do, we call it like the push pull. We're gonna do this push pull. We're gonna run his ass to the sideline. So at that point, I know it's all me. All right. So we should have a pretty good idea. But if I get his play side peck and I'm getting vertical push, I should have a pretty good idea that guy that's uncovered is going to pull an overtake. Okay, so now let's talk about the running back rules. All right, this is what we teach our running backs. The rules on outside zone are in this order: bounce, bang, or bend. That's how we progress our track for our running back. Okay, the running back is going to align on the inside leg of the offensive tackle with his toes on the quarterback's heels. All right, we put our quarterback's heels at 5 yards. And if you really want to know, I'm going to do a shameless plug here, but if you really want to get in depth on how we work ball handling and steps and backfield mechanics, I have a really good course on my Coach 2 page that talks specifically about our backfield action and how we rep it every day. But I'm going to kind of give you our base rules during this. All right. Our aiming point for our running back is the inside hip of the tight end. Okay. So, and that's, and I put a star next to tight end because we might not have a tight end in the game. It doesn't matter. We're either going to go at the inside hip of the tight end or the imaginary tight end. Okay. So when we track this, we teach our running back his aiming point. Let's say here's the tight end inside hip. I can't draw it up right here. All right. His aiming point for the back is he's going to track at the inside hip of this tight end. Okay. If the tight end's not there, that's fine. He's going to imagine where he would be. Okay. The first read for our running back is on the end man on the line of scrimmage. Okay. So whoever the end man is on the line of scrimmage towards the call, we're going to read him. If we get him reached, okay, so we get him vertically pressed and we scoop him out, or the tackle or tight end who's solo gets him reached and he swings his ass around and we log him inside, that ball's going to stick. So the running back, again, we're aiming at the inside hip of the tight end. If we get it reached, okay, so let's say here's our Y right here. Here's the end man on the line of scrimmage. If he gets him reached, okay, we turn him inside, this ball is going to stick and bounce, okay? And we teach our kids, if you run the track properly, you should actually see this foot stick and then bounce outside. We don't want to run a track that just takes us outside right now, all right? And I'll explain why as we get into the second and third read for the running back. So that'd be our bounce read. Okay? Now, if that end man on the line of scrimmage fight's getting reached, so let's say we're running this, let's just say we're running this at a tackle, and they've got a 5 shape, okay? And we take the drop step, we go to step 2 and through, and this guy's expanding. He's been coached up. Don't give up your outside arm fight getting reached. Perfect. That's what we want. We're going to run his ass to the sideline. Now the running back who's tracking at the inside hip of the tight end, the minute he sees this guy fight getting reached, he's going to stick his foot and he's going to start banging it up inside, okay? The final read is this. We're going to read the block on the next down lineman. So let's say they have a 3 shade right here. Here's our center, okay? If the end man on the line of scrimmage fight's getting reached and we run him to the sideline, the running back's going to stick his foot. He's going to start banging up inside. If we get the 3 technique reached, okay, we pull an overtake, we come off here, this ball is going to bang inside and get right back out, okay? Now, conversely, so if my eyes start here as a running back, and then they go here second. If the 3 shade, and I hope this doesn't look like a jumbled mess, if the 3 shade fight's getting reached, the guard's going to do the same thing, which is he's going to flip his hips, push, pull, and run his ass. The center's going to climb right now, and now this ball would go from a bang to a bend backside. Okay? So that's our bounce, bang, bend rules. The first read is on the end man on the line of scrimmage. If we get him reached, bounce it. If the end man on the line of scrimmage fights getting reached, we're going to stick our foot, we're going to go vertical, and my eyes are going to go to the next down lineman. If he gets reached, we're going to bang it, and then we want to get it back outside, hash mark, number, sideline. If the next down lineman fights getting reached, now we're going to bend it back underneath, okay? And now we're going to be an athlete. Just get in grass and be an athlete. And I will tell you this, the very best outside zone runners are the ones that can kind of give you that 2 speed and can set up the bend. The bend is where the shit gets really explosive, okay? The bang is good. We want the bang. Bounce is great. If guys are playing tight and we can get the ball on the perimeter real easy and we got a guy that can run a little bit, that's great. but we don't really want the bounce, all right? Because now they can run it down, they can string it out, they can run it down. We really want to bang it, or if we're really athletic in the backfield, really fluid, and have some good feel for outside zone, we want to bend it. We had a kid named DJ Foster that played at Arizona State, was a running back, played for us here at Saguaro, and then undrafted free agent for the Patriots, and now he's with the Cardinals. And nobody's ever run outside zone better than DJ, because DJ was really good when he was tracking the inside hip of the tight end. He was never doing it full speed. It was always like second gear, right? And then he'd set it up, he'd get the defense flowing hard, and all of a sudden he'd stick that foot and he'd accelerate, and he'd hit that bang or that bend, and it would be explosive plays.
Coach, question here for you.
Yes.
And in that, Coach asked, in that scenario, the center isn't blocking a particular angle. He's just staying square and covering him up for the back to read.
So if the center's pulling to overtake, right, if we get vertical press and he's pulling to overtake, the center is actually trying to reach him then. All right, we want the center. If the center's pulling to overtake, if he's going to overtake that block, he's going to reach, because now we know that ball is going to hit outside of him.
And then another question, just to confirm, did you say that the flop step for covered lineman is a lead step through the play side number?
No, the flop step's not. The flop step kind of sets the depth in the track, all right? Then the second step is the one that steps to and through the crotch, all right? That's the one that's going to try to set us on that vertical track. So the very first step, it's going to be a flop step, really, if the guy's heads up on you. Flop step meaning I don't need to get a bunch of width and depth if the guy's heads up on me. Because if I get my shoulders too turned with the guy that's heads up, I'm not going to be able to get vertical press. Okay? So if I've got a guy heads up shade, I'm just going to kind of set my track, flop, and then I'm going to step vertically right now with my inside foot. If the guy's playing outside shade of me, now I might need to take a more of a depth step, more of a drop step, so I can get my second step more to it through his crotch. Hopefully that makes sense. I wish I had a full body camera and I could show you guys, but hopefully when I show you on some film, we can do it better. Okay. So I'm going to go through some cuts of our progression. It's going to go bounce and then bang and then bend, and then I'll show you some of our variations. So these first clips are bounce read. Okay, so in this drawing right here, we're 3-by-1 closed. We're running outside zone to the right. The running back's track. This isn't a great drawing. It should be at the inside hip of the tight end. Okay, if we get a 3-4 look, all right, I'll show you the rules on this one. Okay, the Y right here is covered play side. He's solo. All right, so as we communicate our blocks, the tackle's got a guy heads up, so he's covered also. So he's not helping the Y, so the Y knows he's solo. It means he can use two hands. He's going to take the drop step. He's going to step to and through the crotch. He's going to try to reach this guy by himself. If he can get him reached, if he can get his face to that play side armpit, then he's going to swing his ass around. And his ass, if it's a bounce read, his ass should be pointing the running back out, right? His ass swings around. You get that guy reached, and there's nothing else to read. The running back sticks his foot and bounces it, okay? Right tackle's covered, all right? He's got a 4 shade. He's got a guy heads up. So this would be a chance where this would be a scenario where we take a flop step. We don't want to get too much depth. Second step goes to and through his crotch. Right, we want to split. Our knee should go right to his nutsack, all right? We want to get our inside arm on his play side pec and press him vertical. The right guard is uncovered. He's going to pull and try to overtake the 4 shade. These guys are working a deuce block to the mic. Remember, all right, our eyes are on that. So if I go to pull and overtake this and all of a sudden this mic shoots backside, I'm coming off, all right? I've got to come off. So we're still working combo blocks there, okay? We're still working combo blocks. Center's got a guy heads up, so we consider him covered. So he's going to take this flop step. He's going to try to vertical press the nose so the guard can scoop the A-gap and come overtake that so we can come off this backside backer, okay? And now the left tackle here, he's got a B-gap threat from this forward. Anytime we get this odd front, we pretty much just lock this tackle. We got to make sure we don't get any B-gap penetration. So don't let that 4 or 4-eye spike inside the across your face, okay? The quarterback in this case against the odd front would just be reading the overhang. And in that case, this is where if you want to throw some RPOs, you can throw some RPOs off the overhang, and we do that quite a bit. Okay, so here's some bounce reads. It helps when they don't have a force player up in the tight end's face, but you'll kind of see the tight end works to space. So right tackle and right guard are working, all right? I'd like to see the right guard get better depth on his first step to overtake this block, okay? We want to get vertical press. We don't. We both come off of that. Not really what we want. But you can see running backs tracking inside hip of the tight end. Tight end comes off. He reaches. Here's the Sam coming from depth, which this play was destined for success from the beginning. You can see him kind of stick it, and then it bounces outside. He's not just trying to go full speed to the perimeter right away. You can kind of see him almost like hesitating because he's like, this shit might bend back inside at any point. No, okay, I'm staying outside. I'm on the bounce. Okay? So combos on this one. The tight end is he's solo on this. You know, whatever this guy is, nickel Sam. All right. Right tackle, right guard are deuce on the 4 to the play side backer. Center and backside guard are essentially acing the nose to the backside backer. Left tackle's locked on the 4-4 eye. We're reading the overhang. We have a little, we call this a 5 route. Should be a 5-step short post from the single receiver here. Okay, here's another bounce read. And again, this is another thing I talk about when I talk about using unbalanced formations and motions to create explosive plays. So we go to the stack look. We've got a nub tight end. We've got a nub tight end into the boundary. We go to the stack look over here. We really want to see what they do. When we go nub tight end, are they taking their corner and are they going China and moving him over? Or are they bringing a safety down and leaving the corner here? If they're leaving the corner here, then we are green light. We want to come run outside zone. We want to make him a primary tackler. You know, chances are those corners, they're not better tacklers than your strong safety. Okay, so in this case, we're going H in motion. We're running outside zone. This is from a 2-back set. Okay, this is our base personnel. Base personnel for us is 11 personnel with a Y who's physical enough to put his hand down and block, also athletic enough to flex out or line up as an up back. All right, and then we want our H in our offense to be a guy that can run the ball a little bit from the backfield and also line up in the slot, run bubble screens, run slot fades, run outs. And if you have those 2 guys in your offense, you can be really, really multiple without ever changing your personnel. You can give them a lot of different looks. Okay, so in this case, all right, it's an odd split team again. The Y is solo on the overhang. The overhang's playing tight because we're a 1-back power team. We're an inside zone team. All right, so we're forcing that guy to really have to squeeze and play heavy, which opens up the reach block. Left tackle, left guard are working deuce on the 4 to the play side backer. Center and right guard are ace in the nose to the backside backer. Right tackle's cutting off the 4. We're leaving the overhang unblocked. All right, he's the read guy for the quarterback. All right, we're running stretch. Now the front side, the lead back, is just going to read the block on the end man. If the end man on the line of scrimmage fights getting reached, runs over the top, and all right, if we get him reached like we do here, and he's just going to continue outside and he'll scan inside, out. Okay. So get it reached up. All right. Our running back, his track's a little bit too. You can see he's kind of uphill for his first couple steps. I'd like him to see him press this thing a little bit more towards the inside hip. He's a little wide on this one, but this kid was really dynamic. This is like one of the rare exceptions where he could take a wide track and still stick his foot and get back, but we don't really want to track it that wide. Okay. You can see this is why we want to isolate the corner. Watch the corner right here. He doesn't want anything to do with this shit, right? He's like, oh man, I have to. Okay. Right, he eats that block, and we get the edge, and it's a touchdown. Okay, same look right here. Again, using formations to create confusion. This is what we want. And any of you guys, I know there's some coaches that are on here that have seen some of my courses on CoachTube or seen me speak before. All we're trying to do is we're trying to create the illusion of complexity. We're just running base offense. We're getting into some different formations, nub tight ends. All right, they don't know if this is a ghost formation unbalanced or not. All right, look at the defense. If the defense looks like this pre-snap, the offense is winning. See how many guys, there's 7 guys trying to figure out what the hell they're doing, and the ball snap. All right, they're not lined up right, and that's what we want. All right, we're not even playing necessarily really fast. We're just doing a lot of stuff with the way we formation and motion and press things up, create confusion. We want these 11 teenagers having to talk and communicate before every snap. You force those 11 teenagers to have to communicate with each other, chances are at least one of them is going to be screwed up on every snap. Okay, same look right here. This is another bounce read. Okay, now we're just doing it from a Y off wing set, same rules. All right, he's solo on the overhang. He's going to go try to reach his outside shoulder. Now you can see when that guy's tight, he doesn't have to even really take a big step. He just needs to make sure his second step gets to and through the crotch, in the outside shoulder. Ball bounces outside. Running back, now he's on the alley player. All right, he's on the alley player. If that guy fights outside, we want to run his ass and then bang it back inside. Okay, the rest of the double teams here aren't great. Right tackle, right guard are working this 4 to the play side backer. Center and left guard are working the nose, backside. Left tackle has to really pull and scoop out that B gap. Okay? Hat for a hat. This guy, the mic comes off of this. All right, the mic comes off of this. He kind of gets over, excuse me, that's the backside backer. All right, our center, we don't want to turn our shoulders and chase down his head. If this guy crosses my face inside, I'm staying squared. I'm pressing with my inside arm. I should be able to come off of this right now. He just gets turned around and hung up. Okay, one more bounce read, I think. There's one more on this cut up. All right, this is easy again. 10 personnel. They're walking Sam to the field. Okay, so now we're going to work combo. We call this Diablo, which is a double team. We're going to combo this to this, right? And now we're reading off of him. Left tackle, left guard are working a 4 to the play side backer. Okay, good job of covering up. Watch our left tackle when he gets to the second level. Cover him up, all right? Tits for tits, all right? Tits on tits. And wherever he wants to go, just run his ass. Just stay engaged. Keep him covered. That's all we want to do. You're never wrong if you cover the guy up and keep your feet moving, okay? Keep your feet moving, cover his ass up. Okay, same look. If we're working, this is another question I've had from coaches. The tight end is working solo on the sandbacker. The Sam is coming from depth. What's the track we take? It's the same track we would take if he was up in our face, which means we want to take a kind of a depth step. Our aiming point is we want to get our inside knee right down the pipe, right through his crotch, okay? So as he kind of expands, I'm working upfield. If he wants to expand over the top of me, great. We're going to run his ass, all right? If he doesn't, if he's kind of hanging, then we'll go pin that outside shoulder, turn his ass in, and the ball bounce outside. So we're really kind of taking the same track as if we would if it was in space, all right? If he starts expanding, use his momentum against him, okay? This would be one right here. You could even make an argument that our Y maybe should have just run his ass right here, all right? But he gets him reached. We bounce it outside. I think if we run him when that guy starts expanding, we probably get more out of that play. Okay, again, we're reading the M line of scrimmage. This is a great job. Watch the left tackle. So left tackle and tight end are working what we call a tray block. All right, they're working here to here, okay? Left tackle is 1, 2, 3. I can't overtake that. I'm climbing, okay? Now the tight end, he gets him reached. So he doesn't have anybody bump him off, so he stays on that. All right. And this is why we do it right here. Okay. If you don't get bumped off, stay on it until you get bumped off. Ball gets to the perimeter and we're going. It was a good job by our left tackle. He goes 1, 2, I can't get there, climb. Okay. You can't overtake it by your third step, then climb. Okay, let's talk about some bang reads. Coach, did you have any questions before I go to the bang reads?
Nothing right now, Coach.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about the bang read. So the bang read is, hey, we're tracking the inside hip of the tight end. Tight end solo on this overhang right here. The overhang fight's getting reached. We're going to run his ass. Now we're going to stick our foot. We're going to get vertical, and we're going to read the next down lineman. If we get him vertically pressed and reached and we come off, now this ball is going to bang inside, and then we want to get it back out. Hash mark, numbers, sideline. That's our track. Now what we tell our running backs is if you bang this thing upfield and you get to the second level and you can cut back and have an explosive play, we want those guys to be an athlete, okay? But the rule of thumb, we want the muscle memory to be bang, and we want hash mark, number, sideline. When in doubt, that's their default path, okay? Everything else is kind of the same here. Okay, and you're seeing a bunch of odd fronts because I love outside zone against odd fronts. You're seeing a bunch of 11 personnel and tight end, inline tight end, because I love to run this against odd fronts with the inline tight end, okay? That's when I think this play is really effective, all right? This tight end right here, that's a defensive end, all right? He's athletic enough to catch the ball on an arrow or a stick route. He's really not a vertical threat, but he's athletic enough to threaten vertical, all right? We're not really going to throw him vertical, but you can teach him how to go one-on-one and overhang backer, and you can create some numbers in the advantages in the box. So don't be afraid to find different bodies that can do that. I've used defensive ends. I've used really athletic linebackers. They could be 5'10", 200 pounds as long as they're a tough ass and they're willing to stick their nose in there and battle a little bit, all right? The best tight end I've probably had is a 6 foot, 210-pound linebacker who was really dynamic. He could flex out. He had good hands. He could run the ball a little bit. He was a tough ass, physical kid. He liked contact, and he kicked the shit out of people. We could do a lot of different things with him in our offense, okay? So let's watch this one. We're tracking the inside hip of the tight end. We're reading the block on the M line of scrimmage. He fights reach, put your hat inside and run his ass. The thing that's important if you're going to run the guy is you have to fight to keep your hat upfield. Don't let the guy win back over the top of your face, okay? So now when the running back sticks his foot for the bang, he's reading the block on the next down lineman. We have his ass reached. The tackles come off to the linebacker. He overshot him, but he came off the linebacker. So we're going to bang it, okay? So this ball bangs inside. I wish the tackle didn't overshoot here, but he did, all right? And then we want to think, hash mark, numbers, sideline. This is a really good example, and I'll play it from the very top. This is a really good example of the running back's track. Bang, bam, hash mark, numbers, sideline. Get the ball to your outside arm. Use your weapon. Your weapon is your inside arm. Okay, two backs. Bang read. We tell our front side back, if you're the lead back, you're reading the same thing the running back reads. You're reading bounce, bang, bend off the end man line of scrimmage. Okay, so we work out, bam, he fights over the top, run his ass. Now we're going to insert, we're going to read inside out. Okay, inside out. Running back stretches it, inside hip of the tight end. If I reach, stick your foot, we're going to bang. Now the read becomes off the next down lineman. So the end man fights reach. We get the next guy reach. Tackle comes off. All right, now this ball is going to bang inside, and now we want to be an athlete. All right, we tell our lead back, man, just go hit the first thing, scan inside out, hit the first threat you see. All right, we don't want to overthink this. Okay, here's another bang read. This I feel bad if you're a coach from this team and you didn't get the holding call thrown here. I feel for you because number 77 absolutely mugs this guy, but it's because he has a bad base and his pad level's too high. But this is what a bang is supposed to look like minus that shitty block. Okay, so we get away with one. All right, and he bangs that thing up. So again, we get that 4 technique reach. Tackle comes off on the linebacker. We're kind of getting everything we want. That's a big, explosive, tough-ass run right there. Okay, watch a bang read again right here. Again, the front side back is reading the same thing that the running back reads. Okay, so he's reading bounce, bang, bend off the play side back. We tell him on this, we can't go full speed, right? We tell him take an open step, take a crossover step under control, and then the third step, you got to kind of accelerate. 1, 2, and we want to really accelerate through. Scan inside out. So you see, he feels the inside threat. We don't come off. Our center gets, this nose tackle was a bitch. He was really good. All right, so our center doesn't come off. So the backside backer is flowing hard. So we tell him when you insert inside, scan inside out. So he feels like this guy's more of a threat than this guy. That's fine. Go block the linebacker. We'll take our chances on the third level safety.
Question here, Coach.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference of where you would attack, a shade or a 3?
It doesn't really matter. I think we attack it both ways. You know, sometimes the shade can be a bitch for your center. So the one thing that we will do, and it's a good question. I'll just draw this up. All right. So let's say here's the center right here. So let's say you're running outside zone to the right, and he could be a shade or he could be a 2-eye, which sometimes is even more difficult. But if you've got a shade that's like a war daddy, like this kid on this team, he's a Division I nose tackle. He was a bitch, right? So if your center is having a hard time blocking up that shade, so let's say they got this look right here. He's having a hard time blocking this shade. We can run what we call kingpin, which is instead of treating the guard like he's uncovered and trying to pull and overtake here, what we'll do is we'll actually pin and then we'll fold our center around. Okay, so that would be my answer if you're having a hard time. Now, if your center's a good player and he can dig that shade out, then freaking run an outside zone to that bubble is really good. Okay, so that's the only problem is if you're having a hard time handling that shade, then it can be a problem. I don't have any issues running it to a 3 shade. That's when you just have to really rep the bend, the bang or the bend, right? Because if that 3 tech is fighting getting reached, then you got to be able to bend that ball back underneath him, and that's where this play gets a little bit more advanced to get to that bend read. Hopefully that answers the question. Okay, great look at a bang again right here. Watch number 5. This is kind of the technique I want to take. The big thing is sometimes these guys get lazy. When they get this kind of loose stand-up guy, sometimes those guys, they're like, well, I'm not going to reach him. I'm just going to run him right away. The thing that we don't want to do is if we just step to kind of face the guy right away, and he does a good job of collision of that and getting long, he's going to really close down that gap. So we tell our guys, if that guy's kind of a loose shade of me, I still have to take my depth step and then go step 2 or 3 crotch. I want to expand that guy. I really want to get his momentum widening, all right? If I just step and just try to go base him right now, a really good guy's going to clap that down, and he's going to make that bang, that alley is going to be really small. So I want to make sure I'm still taking a step to go attack his outside leverage and force him to fight it. So you can see right here, when that guy flies outside, watch 5, we teach it, push and pull. We're going to push with our inside arm, pull with our outside arm, fight my hat upside and use his momentum against him, right? It's almost like a damn hip toss right here. Got to be careful that you don't get too much of a pull on the cloth. We want to kind of keep it in tight, but we want to use that guy's momentum against him, right? He does a great job. Watch 5, push, pull, flip him, hat upfield. That guy's trying to fight over the top. He's fighting like hell to keep his hat inside, all right? And that guy's never a part of the play. It's a hell of a job by number 5 right there. Get the shit out of him, right? Love that. There's my linebacker. I can live. See that 15-yard penalty right there? I can live with that shit. All right, you got a guy being a tough. Now, if he starts doing it all the time because he's being selfish, that's a problem. But if you got a guy, this is the semifinals 2 years ago, you got a guy that's just trying to set the physical tempo and he's kicking the shit out of his kid. And actually, I think the penalty's on the other kid because he pulls him down by the face mask. I love it, man. And if they would have flagged my kid too, I would have had no problems with it. All right? I love it. Fast football. That's why we're gonna try to build our offensive scheme around running the football, and then we'll set up everything else off of it. Okay. Here's a bang read again. Now we're having a hard time with the nose tackle. Our center's been getting his ass kicked all night. The nose goes inside. The center should climb right now. All right. So the center should climb right now to the backside backer. He's kind of spinning. He's a young kid right here, sophomore, and he's lost. All right. But our running back again still makes the guy miss in space. Okay. Now let's get to the bend read. We talk about bounce, bang. Number 3 read is bend. Okay? But here's what the bend looks like. I'm pressing inside hip of the tight end. And man on the line of scrimmage, fight's getting reached. We run his ass. I stick my foot. I start going vertical. My eyes go to the next down lineman. He fights getting reached. We run his ass. Now I've got to be able to crease this thing back underneath that. And when it gets to that point, now I've got to be an athlete. Okay? So now I'm just trying to be an athlete. Okay, so here you see a bend read. Now, for the front side back, it's hard. We don't really get the front side back through on the bend, all right? He's really blocking for bounce or bang. If the ball bends, that backside or that running back's on his own. So you can see the first read is on the end man. Here's the end man right here, okay? Now he fights, we run his ass, okay? So now let's go back. Now let's read the second guy. This guy's slanting out, all right? We run his ass, okay? So we're reading off of him. So now this ball should crease and cut back off of that. Everybody else is just working to cover guys up. So when you go work to cover guys up, we don't care where they go, just go cover them. That opens up this wall to cut it back. And again, this is where the explosive plays happen on this, okay? This is really where the explosive plays happen. When you put that thing back behind that big wall, guys are working downfield to cover. Excuse me. Promise it's not the coronavirus. It's just allergies in Arizona. It's hot and dry and everything's blooming right now, so it's killing me. Here's another bend read, all right? First read, overhang backer. He's going to fight getting reached, all right? Not very aggressively, but he fights it, all right? Next read goes on the 4 technique. He's fighting like a bitch outside to get outside, so now we're going to climb. Now, this is where you got to drill. When this guy pulls to overtake and then he can't get there by his 3rd step and he starts climbing, he's got to be an athlete, man. He's got to get a base because we know that guy's going to try to make a miss. So I'd like to see my guy have better feet and a better base at the 2nd level. That's not very good. If we get a better piece of that guy, we have a big play here. Okay? You can see we're fighting like hell backside. We got a vertical press. I really wish my left guard was helping scoop this nose tackle out better. We're leaving poor 55 on his own. That guy was whipping his ass. All right? We got to do a better job of scooping that out backside.
Got a question here, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach said, I know your base personnel is 11, but do you only run outside zone with a tight end?
No. You'll see some of the other stuff starting to come up. So a lot of this is to a tight end because I like against odd front teams, and that's really I kind of show that because this is kind of our go-to scheme against odd front. But no, you'll see some other stuff coming up where we're not running it to a tight end. But to answer the question, I like to run it to a tight end against odd front teams the most. That's my favorite way to run it. Okay. Watch the bend read here. Now, this ball bends all the way back underneath the center. The center's slanting like a bitch to get across the face. We cover him up and run him. This ball creases all the way back underneath that. So these guys are all slant hard into the boundary. This ball creases, it bends all the way back behind the backside 4 technique. So he fights, we cover him, crease the backside, and get vertical. Okay, and then I just show it, hey, odd stack. This is when it's a really good play. If you're running against an odd stack team, odd stack for us is 0 and then a linebacker that's stacked over the center. Okay, so we're just showing these teams like to move and slant. Now we just get our 2 for 2s. Tackle guard to the front side stack, center guard to the stack over the center, and the backside tackle takes B gap. So if the end crosses face, he takes them. If the end goes out, he climbs to the backside stack. So if you guys are seeing, if we play a team that runs an odd stack, we might call this run play of 70% of our run calls might be outside zone. All right, I just think it's the best way to account for all the slanting and all the bullshit that those odd stacks do. Okay? So it just kind of shows you just a little bit about it. This is a really good watch the H-back from an up back position. He's reading the bounce bang bend off the Y. All right, they blitz late. We run his ass. He inserts. Everybody else is climbing. We're working our play side stack. He's really the Sam. Tackle guard are working play side stack to right here. H-back insert, he ends up on the corner. and this ends up being an untouched touchdown. Okay, so it's really good to account for that stack look. I think this might be RPO look off of it. No, not yet. Okay, just showing one more odd stack look. Again, we're putting the Sam on the overhang. We're working stack. We're working stack. We're working B gap. Okay, so just showing you these 3-4 or these 3-3 stack teams that do it. Really good to have answers for all that movement. Okay, those guys like to try to pressure and get penetration. Okay, bend read right there. Now, taking a look at some other things, two backs, and this is what I will say. If you're a 10 personnel team and you're getting a 4-3, I mean, I'm probably running inside zone more against that. All right. If you're getting the 3-4 look and you're not an inline tight, you might not use an inline tight end. That's okay. All right. I think when you're playing this 3-4 structure, you have to have somebody else account for this guy. Otherwise, this really difficult to run outside zone against this front, because if this guy can add to the run front side, you're kind of in trouble. All right, we're outnumbered there. So this is what we really like to do. If we're using a second back, he can be an up back, he can be a wing, he can be a second running back, whoever he is, he essentially is going to replace what we were doing with that front side tight end. Okay, so they essentially have the same job. So now this lead back is on that overhang. He's going to try to take the same path. He's going to go try to get his helmet to the play side armpit with a track to vertically press it. Okay? Now, he's not working with, he's solo. He's going to try to take his inside foot and run it right through his crotch. If this guy jumps inside, then we're going to pin him. If this guy tries to fight over the top of that, then we're going to rip and run him. Get our hat inside and run his ass outside. Okay? All the rest of the combos are the same. Tackle, guard, deuce here. All right, center backside guard are scooping back here, and left tackle scooping B gap. Okay, so that's how we would account for running it without a tight end. Now, I'll show you some other things too where we're not running it with one backs and without a tight end, so we will do that as well. A lot of that comes down to kind of game plan. Okay, so right here, we're putting our Y is going straight to the alley. We're putting our front side back on this. Now, this is where it's really important that we take a better path, because he takes way too straight of an angle at him. We don't want to take this angle at him, because that's like a kick out angle all the way. I don't want to take that. I want to take an angle where I'm attacking upfield to vertically press him. And then if that guy does run outside, don't try to beat him to the point, because now I get my hat stuck outside and the guy crosses my face back inside. Okay? That's not what we want. But you can see how we account for the overhang with the second back. Okay? And this just becomes, this is a bang read. We're basically bounce bang. This is who we're bounce bang bending off of. Okay. So if he jumps inside, we pin him, the ball bounces. If he jumps outside, we bang it, we read the next down lineman. All right. We get him reached, ball bangs. Okay. Same look right here. Putting the front side back. This is a better track. So watch, this kid was a pretty good blocker. So he takes that track to go try to get his inside foot to and through the crotch, still working, attacking his outside arm. Now that kid at the last minute, he goes, oh shit, I can't get reached. Fights outside, bam. Hat placement right here is textbook. Hat placement inside, rip his ass and run him. Bang, the read goes off the next down lineman. Okay? Fights over the top, bend it back underneath. Okay? Same look here. On the overhang flies out, hat inside, run his ass, crease it back inside. Running it to the boundary. All right, front side back on the overhang. This kid wasn't as good of a blocker. Hat's on the wrong side. This is a textbook example of what not to do, and that lets the guy cross his face back inside. He probably should have got called for a hold there. Okay, but you can still see the tracks what we're running on here. Okay, now if we're running this at a two-back look, and they walk that overhang up onto the line right now. Okay, so he's not playing with any kind of depth. Then what we will do is we'll make a fan call. So now we'll fan. The tackle is going to work out to that overhang right now. The guard is going to go fan out to that 4 or 4-eye, and we're going to take our front side back and we're going to insert him on the play side backer right now. Okay. Now these guys are still trying to reach. They're still trying to reach. So chances are in the fan, the tackle's not going to reach him, but he's still going to take that path. We're going to run him. If the guard can reach the 4 or 4-eye, then this thing will insert outside of him. So we're really just inserting off of this down line, okay, off of where he goes. Okay, so here, overhang walks up front side, fan, 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 he's out. He should reach, he should insert right now on the backer. Okay, and I think this one's going to show some of our RPOs that we're throwing off of it. So, hey, 3-4 team, the overhang backer is our read player. We're tagging our 5 route, which is just our short post backside off of this. Okay, so if the backers are flowing really hard on outside zone, and this guy kind of gets himself stuck in no man's land, we can throw our RPO game backside off of him. Okay, so we're just replacing that grass. So we start getting these backers flowing real hard, had success running outside zone, they start pushing it over. All right, we're just going to replace that grass with that 5 route. Okay, same look right here, run our outside zone. That overhang backer, he's kind of adding to the party late. We're throwing that little short post back underneath. Push it vertical 5 yards, break to grass. Okay, we want to. This can be flat, it can be higher, it can be right down the middle. Wherever the grass is where we want to attack. Okay, same look right here. And here's the thing I will tell you, for you guys that have seen my 4 verticals course, one of the big things we run off of 4 verticals is a slug route to the single receiver. And this is why it's successful, because we run this play action. We talked about outside zone, really good play action. Now this is true outside zone. We're just trying to run stretch, all right? But because this overhang backer's up at the line, playing tight, all right? Backers are flowing hard, all right? This backer's fast flow over the top. We're throwing this 5 route. Now, if they start really driving that, now we'll go play action. We'll run 4 verticals and run the slug, all right? So that's why that's a really effective double move off of 4 verticals. Okay, if you start getting a corner to play hard inside leverage, now we'll just run a snap route, which is our speed out into the boundary. So again, we're RPO in the overhang. The overhang's at the line of scrimmage. She can't defend it. Bang. 5-yard speed cut out into the boundary. Put the ball outside. The sideline protects the throw from the inside leverage corner. Catch it and get vertical. Okay, and that's the one thing in our offense that we've committed to is if they're going to give us 6 yards, we're going to take that shit all day long. All right, your kids have to buy into that. All right, we can't be afraid to take 6 yards over and over and over again. Okay, now here you go, even front. And so for you even front coaches out there, I promise you we do run this against even fronts. The presentation was really more based on running outside zone against the odd front. So if you wanted to see more even front, I apologize. All right. So for the coach early on that said, hey, will you ever lock the backside 5? Here you go. We call this Oakland. All right. So we're running outside zone to the left. We're working. This is a shade. All right. So we're working deuce with the tackle and guard on the 5, the play side backer. All right. Center solo right here on this. Now, if you can't handle this guy, now go solo on your tackle and go pin and pull here. All right. And now we're just going base out backside. We're putting the read on the backside linebacker. This is a great way to run your outside zone to the boundary and then work your 3x1 trips RPO game. Okay. The front side X has to know that he's almost dangerous man. So if they have an alley corner or an alley safety, he'll go push, crack. If they have a post safety, then he's going to just take the corner. Okay. And now we're reading the backside linebacker. Backside linebacker flows hard. This concept right here, we call it our pop concept. Our Y is going to run a little 6-yard hitch and sit. All right. Really like a stick route. All right. Our number 2 is going to run bubble. Our number 1 is going to block for the bubble. So we're going to read 1 to 2. If he triggers on run, we're throwing stick to bubble off of number 2. All right. If he opens up to 3, we're going to hand the ball off because now we're 5 for 5. And I wish I showed you a better cut up. This kid busts right here. He should be based out. He tries to scoop. He should be based out right here, and the read's on this guy. But you can still see how the concept sets up for the RPO. We're based out. Now the second read is off of this. So backer triggers, 1 triggers. Now we're running stick to bubble. Curl flat player plays bubble, stick's wide open, catch it and get vertical. So I'll run it from the top. Okay? Outside zone to the boundary, stick, bubble, bang the stick, catch it and get vertical. Okay, now, coach asked me, what if you start getting like the tight front, all right, or that 4 eyes just pinching like a bitch, he's screaming down inside, all right? Overhang's walked up and he's screaming. Now we'll make our midline call. So now we're going to fan out on the overhang. We're going to put the read on the 4 eye. Everything else is the same. So quarterback's reading that 4 eye. Backers are flowing, right? Again, backers are flowing because we're having success running outside zone. So backers are flowing. They're trying to squeeze that 4 eye. So here's the midline call, all right? And usually if you do this once, Those guys stop doing that shit. All right. So you can see the read is on this big joker right here. All right. The read is on him. He comes down, turns his shoulders, chases ball. Quarterback disconnects, and now we're blocking midline. Now our X screws it up because he's got the push crack rules. He doesn't have an alley safety, so he should be on the corner. He shouldn't be push cracking to nobody. All right. Sometimes kids get screwed up. All right. Then he ends up boxing out the corner and blocking nobody. Okay. So that's our midline variation. Okay. So hopefully that gave you guys lots of stuff to think about. I think sometimes just the blocking rules and mechanics and coaching points, that's a whole clinic in itself. But hopefully I showed you some other things off of that. With that said, Coach, I'm willing to stick around for as long as you want me to answer questions. I'm happy to take on as many questions as you guys want.
Absolutely, Coach. And no, it was an awesome presentation. One question just came in. And of course, as Coach said, if you have any questions, man, just drop it into this chat right here. Or obviously, Coach gave his contact information, his Twitter handle. But question was asked, what's the footwork for the quarterback on the mesh with the running back?
Yeah, so we talk about this a lot. Like we do what we call kind of like a crow hop. So you got baseball guys out there. When we catch a snap, we kind of take a little 1-2 crow hop. So if we're running inside zone, it's all about how you draw a line with your toes. That's what we teach our quarterback. So if we're running inside zone, we tell our quarterback to take a crow hop. He steps with his foot closest to the running back, 1-2, and then your toes when we swing around. So I'm talking inside zone first. All right. When we swing around, we want our quarterback's feet drawing a line for the running back to press at the center's play side ass cheek. So that's our footwork for inside zone. Now, when we're running outside zone, again, we're tracking at the tight end's inside hip. So now when our quarterback catches the snap and he takes his crow hop 1-2 and he kind of loads his weight, he's going to point. This is 1, 2. He's going to draw a line. So if that's kind of the angle of his feet, he's going to draw a line for the running back to track right at the inside hip of the tight end. Okay. So wherever the aiming point that you have, when the quarterback sets his feet, that's the line he should be drawing. So now he can push the ball back and ride it from shoulder to shoulder. Okay.
Sorry, I was muted. How does your blocking differ from inside zone?
So it's a little bit different in this. In inside zone, we're really trying to create like 45-degree tracks. Okay. So, you got center, guard, tackle. Let's drop a base front. Here's your end. Here's your nose. Here's your tackle. All right. You got an end and a 5 over here. All right. You got backer. Okay. On inside zone, we're kind of trying to create a 45-degree wall. All right. So in inside zone, our rules are covered play side, covered backside, or uncovered. All right. So in this case, we're reading the backside and we're running inside zone to the right. We teach our running back, press the front side A gap. If it's cloudy, jump cut the backside A gap, almost like veer. Okay. This guy's going to step, check his inside gap, and climb. Trying to create a wall. These guys are working. He's working a flop drive, 45-degree angle. He's going to settle step. We're going to get hip to hip, and we're trying to track this to the play side backer. All right. He's covered play side. He's driving. He's covered play side. He's flopping and driving. We're kind of trying to create this wall. So we're going to get up into this. All right. And if it's clear, we're going to hit it 100 miles an hour. If everybody flows over the top and it gets cloudy front side, we're cutting back behind that wall. So that inside zone is kind of like a 45-degree push. All right. Outside zone, instead of working like tracks at a 45-degree angle, we're really trying to work vertical tracks. Okay. So we're trying to push guys vertically. We're trying to pull and scoop guys out vertically. And then when they run, all right, we run their ass, and then we're trying to crease back like vertical cutback lane. Okay. So the inside zone hits like here or here. Outside zone hits here or here or here. It just kind of hits a little bit wider. Kind of the way we run outside zone is some people call it mid zone. All right. Everybody's got different names for it. Some people call outside zone what we call full reach. Full reach is like this shit's going to the perimeter. That's not how we run outside zone. We run it more like stretch so we can. And I hope that answers the question. They're very similar. I think if you're going to run outside zone, you probably should also be running it inside zone. And for us, like the last 4 years in a row, inside zone was our number 1 most called run concept by far and away. And then outside zone was probably number 2.
No doubt. Any other questions? Any other coaches have questions for Coach? Once again, his contact information is there, and as he stated before, a bunch of this stuff and more, even going more in depth with certain other things, man, is on his coach tube, man. It's definitely worth checking out. So if you guys have it, make sure you do that. And of course, like I said, his Twitter's there, his email's there if you guys have any follow-up questions. But I think we're good, Coach. I appreciate you jumping on, man. That was an awesome clinic, and just want to thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. I enjoyed being here. I put my ghetto Twitter handle up on here again. All right. So make sure you guys follow me and man, I've been doing clinic speaking for a long time, and I've been working like the last month because I've been bored out of my mind. I've been putting a lot of my stuff up on CoachTube. Everything is kind of like this clinic is with video recording and coaching through it. So if this is something that interests you or you liked, check out one of my other ones. If you check it out, I'd love to get your feedback. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask questions. I really genuinely enjoy talking ball. Hopefully that comes out in my presentation.
No, absolutely.
So don't hesitate to reach out to me.
No, absolutely, Coach. Like I said, it was great. And, I'm sure a bunch of the coaches, or all the coaches in here got a ton of information from it. So it's really good stuff. And, I know for me personally, we were talking before, I'm going to check out some of that stuff you got on there because I like some of the stuff you've been posting. So I want to check that out for sure.